Minglawa, welcome to MITV's special talk show Perspectives. For this special show, we have invited honorable guest of speaker Wu Echan, who is a counselor in Myanmar Press Council, chairman of E-Commerce Association of Myanmar, deputy chairman of Myanmar Digital Economy Association of UMFCCI, and also an adjunct lecturer for MBF, EMBA, and MBA courses at Yangon University of Economics. Echan has received a BSc Honours Economics degree from University of London, UK. He's also a chartered accountant as well as a certified public accountant in Singapore. He got his MBA from Nanyang Technological University of Singapore in 2002. So he has worked in UK and Singapore in professional capacity in banking and finance for more than 15 years. Minglawa Sia, thank you very much for your time and for your presence for our special talk show.
Thank you.
Currently, the world is experiencing inflation. So the topic, surviving in an inflationary environment, will be very timely and meaningful for our talk show. So first of all, tell us about the causes of inflation.
Well, inflation is actually a general increase in prices, especially the consumer prices. Mm-hmm. You know, recently the Myanmar people, right, the people in here, right, we have been complaining about, price increases everywhere, mm-hmm. From fuel prices to some other, food prices to a lot of prices, even the basic necessities. So inflation is something that we all experience. Everybody, every human being will experience inflation one way to another. So that's the inflation. And obviously inflation, how do we measure that? We measure by CPI, Consumer Price Index, or the Retail Price Index, depending on which country you're in, they call it. So they just measure the basket of goods, let's say 30 items, mm-hmm. and maybe here including mohinga or taxi fares or rental or whatever, bus fares, they include that, right? Then you compare that at one point of time versus right now. Mm-hmm. So see how much it has increased. Mm-hmm. So that's how we measure the inflation. Mm-hmm. Right? Compare the price of goods at last specific point of time compared with this point of time. Mm-hmm. That's the inflation. So what causes the inflation? Actually, there are three things that cause inflation. Mm-hmm. The first one is the cost push, because general cost, the input cost increases. For example, fuel, petrol. Where do we get the petrol? From overseas, right? So if the petrol price from overseas increase, this increase in petrol price is going to go into the transport cost. Taxi fares will go up, right? Whatever things that, you cannot live without transport. Even you want bricks, you want cement. If people have to transport these things for you, right? So all these things will go up as well. So that is the cost push because of the cost. It is. The other one is demand pull. Demand pull means there are lesser items available out there than the demand, you and I demand. Let's say, for example, right now there is no new cars coming in. Mm-hmm. So the car imports are no more. Mm-hmm. So obviously the supply of car is limited. Mm-hmm. But the people are still demanding to have cars. Mm-hmm. So obviously in general, the car prices will go up. Mm-hmm. So that is the demand pulled by the demand. Mm-hmm. The last one is the inflationary expectation. What we call it inflation item being input in your thoughts. For example, let's say I'm trying to sell you something. Mm-hmm. Let's say I'm selling medicines. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to sell you medicine. But I know that if I sell you at this price, next time I cannot go and buy back the thing from the supplier at that price. Mm-hmm. So what do? I input the inflation into my selling price. Mm-hmm. So because of these three items, it causes all three cause the inflation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is inflation good or bad?
Obviously, most of the people will say bad inflation is really
for our consumers.
Yeah, but high inflation is bad, obviously, because about 2 months ago, a month ago, it happened, right? Even the suppliers are not fixing the prices anymore because they're not selling; they're giving the item because inflation is so volatile, right? So high inflation is bad, obviously. But a little bit of inflation is necessary. You cannot have, inflation necessary because to incentivize the producers. Let's say I'm selling you something. If I know that the price are going to go up, then I'm more motivated to make more profits and reduce my costs, right? So it's the motivational aspects of, business
And
and the businessman.
also, the consumers are also, they have a panic buying,
Yeah, probably true as well, right? So zero inflation is quite difficult to achieve because if there is no inflation, unemployment will go up. So at least in the short term. So there is a reverse effect between inflation and unemployment, at least in the short term. The opposite of inflation, what we call the deflation. Prices are going down. Deflation is also no good because deflation is the sign of a weakening economy and a stagnant economy because prices are not going up. So the producer businesses are not so motivated to go into business, to employ people. We don't want to do that anymore because we know the prices are going down, which means our profits are also going to go down as well.
So are we in a hyperinflationary environment now?
Well, economists define the hyperinflation as a monthly inflation rate of more than 50%. So obviously we are not there yet. Maybe some months, maybe fuel price has gone up more than 50%. I don't know. I didn't actually keep track. But right, it doesn't become hyperinflationary just because of a month. In economics time, at least you need to have 2 consecutive quarters. Only then you can confirm that there is technically hyperinflation. So you cannot just say that ad hoc, 50% the onion price increase or the, edible oil price increase. Yeah, you cannot just say that 1 month increase, then you can say that you cannot say that we're in a hyperinflationary environment. It got to be 50% per month for more than, a quarter or so, 2 quarters. You can say that. Yeah, obviously, about a couple of months' time, probably Myanmar is also a little bit in danger of that, right? Because we have very low, our tax revenues are going down because people are not paying tax and, general downturn and contraction in the economy. Plus, the government also had to pump in money for quantitative easing because the banks are not, at the time, you are not able to withdraw cash out of your own savings account. Yeah, so the government has to pump in quantitative easing, plus a lot of cost push factor because a lot of items from imports from overseas, especially the edible oil and the crude oil. Yeah, so that puts us in an environment where we are facing inflationary pressures all the time. But we are not in a hyperinflationary economy yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But hopefully it's not going to happen, is it? Because historically, in the US around 1920 something, there is a hyperinflation. In Germany, before the Second World War, around the 30s also there's a hyperinflation. And the last hyperinflation environment was in Zimbabwe, where there is quite, the money is supposedly become quite worthless.
So what actions can government take?
Well, obviously the government has been taking quite a lot of correct actions. For example, one of the things that they can do is the price and wage controls, consumer goods prices. Yeah, for example, like the edible oil, right? They have a committee to monitor the price of edible oil prices, and plus they are importing a lot of oil from Russia and all these etc. Fuel, I'm talking about, to reduce the petrol costs as well.
Yeah, for transportation.
Yeah, transportation cost is a key factor, because wherever things come from, you need transport. Yeah, so the government has been trying to tackle these key items, and plus pharmaceuticals. They are supplying the dollars to pharmaceutical companies at the official rates, so that the price of medicines are kept reasonably low. Yeah, so that's what they have been doing. At the same time, they can also follow the contractionary monetary policy, which means they don't want the economy to hyper expand. Then the inflation will not. When the economy expands, people are happy. People think the economy will, so then you buy. You think you forever have jobs. That is called expansionary economy. So if you want to be anti-inflation, you got to have a little bit contraction. But the problem is a contraction, you need the banking systems to work together as well. But with the banking systems in a little bit chaos in the last year or so, right? So it's quite difficult to implement things successfully without the full involvement and full liquidity in the banking system. Yeah, so that's one of the things that the other governments can do, but Myanmar government at least is a little bit difficult. Yeah, our government a little bit difficult. The last is obviously you can reduce the lending of the banks, right, by increasing the reserve limit that the banks have to keep with the central bank. But obviously these days not much lending activity is taking place either, so that is not really not applicable item for our country.
So how about the individual level for this inflation environment? How we can survive?
All right. Okay. There are 4 things that you can instantly do. Yeah. To guard off yourself against all sort of you, so that you won't get into effect of the inflation impact very much. Yeah. The first thing is you got to reduce your transport expenses. Yeah. Try not to go where you don't need to go. Try not to take taxi so much. Try to do the car share, carpooling, right? Instead of driving 3 cars from the same house, you just drive 1 car and just transport each other. So reduce the transport expenses, right? Along the way, you pick things up, something like that, right? The next one is stop buying new things. Because when you buy new things, the seller already imported the imaginary inflation rate into the product. Because he is scared that he won't be able to buy the same product from whoever is supplying him. So, he is trying to put in. So by not buying new things, you're not actually facing inflation. Yeah. The other thing is, then you say, hey, what if my products break down? What if my TV break down, aircon break down? So the thing is, you can also think of the backup plans for all your appliances, right? So that you don't have to buy the new appliance again, right? So what if your aircon break down? Okay, have you got a fan already? And so you would think of, what is your backup plan for the aircon? You have a fan, right? If you have an old TV, that will be your backup plan for your, recently bought TV. Yeah, because once your TV is spoiled, you don't replace, you use back the old TV. So this will just like washing machines also. So that is for the individual. Yeah, the last point I want to say is you need to reduce your restaurant outings, right? Going out and eat. Because when you go out and eat, the shops would have already put in the inflationary prices into the price of goods and services as they serve. So by you not going out and eat, and by eating at home, you would have you don't have to face the inflationary pressure.
Homemade food is healthy, so
Yeah,
it's the
correct.
best way,
Correct. I also recommend that because when you're outside, when you're at the eating outside or street side food, the objective for them is not healthy food. I'm not trying to say they are purposely trying to poison you or whatever. It's just the objective is profit making, right? As a restaurant, as a food stall, I need to make profit. I need to make as much profit as possible. So the healthy food and healthy eating becomes secondary for them.
So these are the how to get survive as an individual level.
Yeah, correct.
So is there anything else you want to add for to survive in an inflationary environment?
Yeah. Oh, just now was the immediate things that just on the 5 things that I have, the 4 or 5 things that I mentioned was the immediate things that you can do. But in terms of the strategy, right, there are certain things that you can also do as well to so that you will not suffer the same fate next time the inflation storms come to your way. The first thing is you have to realize that gold and silver are always inflation proof, right? Gold is, gold price will go up as per inflation. So when you buy gold, you won't get hit inflation. That's why a lot of people are buying gold. Yeah. At the same time, the disadvantage of buying gold is gold doesn't give you income, doesn't give you regular income, doesn't give you interest, doesn't give you rental income. Gold doesn't give you. But it is inflation proof. And the other one is that, you can stock up on the long-lasting household items. That could be one of your strategies. For example, if you may have cleaning items like Dettol and all these things, right? You can stock it up. You can buy a big one, right? Because this thing doesn't have expiry date, right? Dettol and whatever they use to clean the plates and pans and all these, the soaps, they don't have expiry date. The toilet paper, they don't have expiry date, right? So you can buy these in bulk. Yeah, then you don't have to face the price increases later on. That's the second strategy. And the third one is you can think of ways to create your own source of food. Right now also government is pushing for the agriculture and livestock self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Just like keeping chickens at your backyard or keeping goats and pigs. And, if you have enough space, right, growing your own vegetables and all these things, right?
Backyard farming. Yeah.
Backyard farming or backyard livestock. So by doing so, when for example, if you keep pigs, right, if the pork prices increase, your pig price also will increase. Yeah, so you are a lot sort of you're a hedge against the inflation. Second last one is or as a strategy perspective, maybe it's also very suitable for the current environment. Also, you have to beef up your home and personal security, because inflationary times are difficult times for everyone. Yeah, so become security risk has gone up. So there will be more burglaries, there will be more stealing, more thefts. So you need to increase your home and personal security during this time. Last but not least is you need to stay positive. That's what I nearly forgot. What is the last one? Right, once you stay positive, there's an inflation storm. It's not going to continue forever. You got to stop somewhere down the line. Yeah, we're not going to face a hyperinflation or near hyperinflation every time for the next 3 years. No way. Right, so be positive and let's cross this thing together.
Okay, thank you very much for your advice. And it's a very meaningful and it's also very beneficial for our audience.
Thank you.
You have been watching MITV's special talk show Perspectives. Thanks for joining us.